Hello, sports fans, and welcome to another edition of Scott Sports 101. We're going to recap the NBA All-Star game. If you missed it, we're going to talk some Browns news. We're going to recap last night's Cavs game and today's Buckeyes game. But before we get to any of that, here is today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. Down 3-1 in the 2016 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors, things were looking quite bleak for the Cavs. However, they were given a spurt of momentum when a crucial player on Golden State was suspended for Game 5. Who was this? I will have the answer later in the podcast. Well, we're going to talk some Browns news right now. Now, the Browns have clear needs in this year's draft, and if they fill them, their disappointing 8-9 season can become a distant memory. Free agency is nice, but the heart and soul of this team gets built in the NFL draft. There is a clear path forward for this team to get right. Our writers are doing week by week Browns mocks between now and the draft. Doug Lesmerez, first draft is here, and he says, it's my turn today, and every Wednesday, the idea to track how our thinking evolves between now and the end of April, what happens at the NFL Combine, what the Browns do in free agency, the general rumors of players and rushing and falling in the eyes of the draft, evaluators and our changes in thinking will affect our mock drafts. The Browns, now here are some of them, or four of them we have. The Browns pick at number 13 in the first round, plus they have their own picks in the second and third rounds. They also get extra third round pick for the Minnesota Vikings, hiring Kawesi Adolfo Messiah Mensah as their new general manager out of the Browns front office. We'll deal with those four picks in the first rounds here to research last year in the first three rounds. The Browns took quarterback Greg Newsome II, linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and wide receiver Anthony Schwartz. The year before, they took O.J. Gedrick, offensive tackle, Jedrick Wills Jr. Excuse me for that, not O.J. Jedrick, as I said it was Jedrick Wills Jr. Safety Grant Delpit, and defensive tackle Jordan Elliott, and linebacker Jacob Phillips. To help with accuracy as far as who might be available, I am using the PFF mock draft, similar for the other 31 teams. Now, here are some of the picks that are possible and that might be available. Now, at pick number 13, Drake London, wide receiver USC. Drake London would bring size and ability to win the football games to the Browns. What's your favorite here? Both Garrett Wilson and Drake London were available. If the Browns land either, I would be happy. And I'm taking London because I'm intrigued by his size and his size and his ability to win when the ball is in the air. At 20 years old, he turns 21 in July. He fits with this team's philosophy of drafting young players. Wilson, who is 21 now, fits this mold too. At 6'5", 210 pounds, he has hoops background, pulling double duty as Hooper at USC until last year. Now, if they gave either one of these guys, I'd be happy, but I'm not so sure they're going to be available. We'll have to wait and find out. But I like either Garrett Wilson or Drake London. They fit this team either way. So either way, I'm happy. So the Ringer is Danny Kelly says of London. The Ringer's Danny Kelly, says of London with the top tier size, body control, and concentration to win at the catch point, capable of threatening at all three levels. Dane Brugler of The Athletic writes, the ultimate respect for a wide receiver is when everyone knows the ball is going to him, yet the defense can't stop it, and that sums it up. That sums up London's junior season, NFL.com's Daniel Jeremiah calls London a nuisance route runner who, despite not having ideal speed, is quick off the line. London is a jumbo-sized wideout with a rare catch radius and outstanding toughness, Jeremiah writes. Yes to all of that, please. And we say yes to all of that. I do too. Now, the pick of round 2 that could be available, it's possible, is Devontae Wyatt, defensive tackle, Georgia. The Browns need help on the interior of their line, and they likely won't spend big to get it. They've drafted defensive tackles each of the last 2 years, but neither precludes the pick. Wyatt's game is about pressure. The Browns with Myles Garrett at one end and hopefully Jadeveon Clowney at the other could use some pressure up the middle to help their ends. If not unrealistic to think Wyatt could come in and start week 1 on the interior, and that could be I like him for the defensive line, and so we'll see on that one too. Round 3 pick, number 78, Sky Moore, wide receiver, Western Michigan. Yes, it's the double dip. Moore is the type of speedster this team needs as they build their wide receiver room, while you'd like to rely on Anthony Schwartz and Demetric Felton to handle some of these responsibilities. Their presence shouldn't preclude the Browns from picking a potentially dynamic, alert small receiver. Small receiver. He's young. He turns 22 in September, and he's fun to watch. And he is fun to watch, and he could be a good possibility for the Browns. And in round 3, pick, that's the comp pick, Jeremy Rucker, tight end, Ohio State. It's not the pass catcher from Ohio State many of you likely were hoping for, but Rucker, if he's there at the tail end of the day, he's worth snatching up, especially if David Njoku leaves in free agency. An impressive week in Mobile at the Senior Bowl helped Rucker. We know the Browns can never have too many tight ends. And we have some other Browns news I want to mention that you may have heard Jarvis Landry may or may not be back with the Browns next year. And he does want to stick around to finish out the contract he signed in 2018. And they will be paying him the $16.4 million in dead pay. And that's what's left on his contract. But there are 4 teams that are interested, in his services: the Indianapolis Colts, the Baltimore Ravens, the Chicago Bears, and the New England Patriots. Now, if this does happen, if he leaves, we will have to find somebody to replace Jarvis Landry, and he could be a well-deserved asset elsewhere. But he does want to stick around, and they're going to have to come up with a way to pay him if he does decide that he wants to stick around. So I'll keep you developed on this. I'll keep you updated, on this developing story. For those of you who missed the NBA All-Star game last Sunday, I'm going to recap it for you right now. Team LeBron beat Team Durant in the NBA All-Star game 163-160 on last Sunday night, at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse here in Cleveland. This was one of the best All-Star games we have seen in years. Stephen Curry scored 50 points, had 5 rebounds and 2 assists, and Curry was the MVP of the game. Giannis, Runpo had 30 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. LeBron James, 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 8 assists. Darius Garland, 13 points, 1 rebound, and 3 assists. Jared Allen, 10 points, 9 rebounds, 1 assist. And DeMar DeRozan, 10 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists. Team LeBron was up 47-45 at the end of the first quarter. Then the game really started to heat up in the second quarter between the two teams, as Team Durant was up by 1 at halftime, 94-93. Then in the third, both teams seesawed back and forth, as Team Durant was up by 6 at the end of the third quarter, 144-138. And then in the fourth, Team LeBron and Team Durant battled back and forth until the final 10 seconds of the fourth quarter, and LeBron James made the game-winning basket to seal up the victory for Team LeBron, 163-160, and it's LeBron James' 5th straight All-Star win, and Joel Embiid, led Team Durant with 36 points. And Kent State University is going to get for the I season for the I Promise the I Promise stats. They're going to get $450,000, and Cleveland Food Bank, Team Durant was playing for, is going to get $300,000. Now we got some MLB news to talk about, but first we're going to reveal the answer to today's Scott Sports 101 trivia question. I'm going to reveal it right now. Here we go. Down 3-1 in the 2016 NBA Finals against the Golden State Warriors. Things were looking quite bleak for the Cavs. However, they were given a spurt of momentum when a crucial player on Golden State was suspended for Game 5. Who was this? If you said Draymond Green, you are correct. Draymond Green was given a flagrant foul in the team's Game 4 victory for unnecessary contact with a relatory swipe of his hand to the groin, which ultimately led to his Game 5 suspension. The Cavs would win Game 5 and use the momentum to take the next 2 games en route to the team's first ever NBA championship. And I will be back with the Major League Baseball news, recap the Ohio State Buckeyes game and the Cavs game in just a moment. Stay with us.